Hello, and welcome to Whisper Garden, a quiet corner of YouTube where gentle stories help you slow down, unwind, and drift off to sleep. You'll find a new sleepy time tale here every week, told in soft, soothing tones designed to calm your mind and ease you into restful slumber. I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's a small gesture that makes a big difference and helps more dreamers like you find their way here. Sweet dreams. Our story for tonight takes you down a mysterious velvet staircase, through rooms of floating feathers and upward rain, to a place where dreams come to rest. Welcome to the Velvet Staircase. The Velvet Staircase. This city breathes quietly tonight, its exhales visible in pale wisps that curl around street lamps like forgotten prayers. You find yourself walking without destination, your footsteps soft against rain-slicked cobblestones that gleam like scattered coins in the amber light. Sleep has abandoned you again, leaving you to wander these drowsy streets, where windows glow with the gentle light of late readers and insomniacs nursing their solitary cups of tea. The restlessness in your chest feels like a bird trapped behind your ribs, fluttering against the cage of your bones. You pull your coat closer and breathe in the night air, cool and sweet, with the lingering scent of rain and something else, something that reminds you of old books and lavender sachets tucked between forgotten pages. It's then that you notice the bookshelf. How strange that you've never seen it before, though you've walked this street countless times. The building leans slightly, as if tired from holding up so many stories, its weathered brick facade painted soft gray green by the streetlight's glow. The sign above the door is so faded you can barely make out the words. Morpheus and Co., purveyors of dreams and dusty tone. In the window, a single lamp casts a golden circle of light across towers of books that seem to sway gently, though there's no wind. The door stands slightly ajar, and warm air drifts out, carrying scents that make your eyelids heavy, vanilla and old leather, rain-soaked earth and something indefinably peaceful, like the memory of your grandmother's attic on summer afternoons. Without quite deciding to, you find your hand on the brass doorknob, worn smooth by countless other restless hands, and you step inside. The interior exhales around you like a contented sigh. Dust motes dance lazy spirals in the amber light, each one catching the gleam from scattered reading lamps that pool golden warmth across uneven wooden floors. The shelves rise high into shadows, leaning against each other like old friends sharing secrets, their spines creating a patchwork of faded golds and deep burgundies, forest greens and midnight blues. The air is thick and drowsy, heavy with the weight of 1,000 stories and the comfortable mustiness of age. You move deeper into the store, your footsteps muffled by Persian rugs worn soft as moss. Books seem to whisper as you pass, not words exactly, but the gentle susurrus of pages breathing in the quiet air. Some volumes lean outward slightly, as if reaching for your touch, their covers soft with age and handling. You trail your fingers along their spines, feeling the raised letters of titles in languages you recognize, and some you don't, all of them humming with the quiet energy of stories waiting to unfold. In the farthest corner, where the lamplight grows dim and golden, you discover something unusual behind a shelf that tilts at an odd angle, a shelf filled with books about sleep and dreams, about night gardens and lunar phases. you glimpse a hint of deeper shadow. When you ease the shelf aside, and it moves easily, as if accustomed to being moved, you find a doorway you're certain wasn't there moments before. Beyond the threshold, a spiral staircase descends into soft, greenish light that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. The steps are unlike anything you've ever seen, covered not in carpet or wood, but in something that looks and feels like velvet moss, deep emerald and soft as a sigh beneath your feet. The banister is smooth driftwood, warm to the touch, and as you rest your hand upon it, you feel a gentle pulse, like the slow heartbeat of the sleeping forest. The descent begins almost without your conscious decision. One step, then another, and the world above seems to fade away like morning mist. The walls on either side are neither stone nor wood, but something organic, curved and smooth, covered in the same velvet moss that cushions your steps. Tiny points of bioluminescent light dot the surface like captured stars, pulsing gently in rhythm with your breathing. As you spiral downward, time begins to feel different. Not slower exactly, but more fluid, like honey poured from a jar on a summer afternoon. Your thoughts, which had been sharp-edged with insomnia and restlessness, begin to soften at their corners. The descent feels endless and instantaneous all at once, each step taking you deeper not just into the earth, but into something that feels like the architecture of sleep itself. The air grows cooler and more still, carrying scents that shift and change with each breath. Now pine needles and morning dew, now warm milk and cinnamon, now the indefinable scent of snow falling on a moonlit garden. Your heartbeat slows to match the gentle pulse in the banister, and your breathing deepens without your noticing. The staircase seems to spiral through layers of dream, each turn revealing glimpses of impossible things in your peripheral vision. A door made of crystallized starlight, a window that looks out onto forests of sleeping flowers, an alcove where silver butterflies rest with folded wings, but when you turn to look directly, there's only the soft green glow and the endless spiral of velvet steps beneath your feet. After what feels like hours or perhaps minutes, the staircase begins to widen. The walls curve outward, and you sense vast spaces opening around you, filled with the kind of hushed expectancy you remember from childhood, the moment before a story begins, the pause before sleep takes hold, the quiet breath between one dream and the next. The first doorway appears on your left, outlined in pale silver light that seems to breathe. There's no door, only an archway, hung with curtains of gossamer that part at your approach, like gentle hands welcoming you forward. You step through and enter a room that makes your breath catch in your throat. You are standing in a chamber where feathers float suspended in midair, each one caught in its own slow dance. They drift and turn without wind or wire, white and gray and softest brown, some large enough to have come from great birds you've only imagined, others tiny as fingertips, from creatures no bigger than your thumb. The feathers move in patterns that almost make sense, spirals that remind you of DNA, helixes, formations like flocks in migration, solitary dancers that spin and pause and spin again. The light here comes from no source you can identify, a gentle luminescence that seems to emanate from the air itself. It's the color of early morning sky, that moment when night hasn't quite decided to become day. The walls curve away into shadow, giving the impression of vast space, though the room feels intimate as a cupped palm. In the center of this floating ballet, a single bird perches on what appears to be a branch of crystallized air. The bird is silent, its feathers the deep blue-black of midnight water, its eyes bright and knowing. As you approach, it turns its head to regard you with ancient patience. Then, with movements slow as prayer, it lifts from its impossible perch and settles weightlessly on your shoulder. You feel no pressure from its feet, only a gentle warmth that spreads through your body like brandy in winter. The bird leans close to your ear, and though it makes no sound, you hear something. Not quite music, not quite words, but a whisper that sounds like wind through wheat fields, like pages turning in a distant room, like your mother's voice, humming lullabies you thought you'd forgotten. Standing among the floating feathers, with the silent bird on your shoulder, you feel the last of your wakefulness beginning to dissolve. Your thoughts drift apart like dandelion seeds, each one floating away on currents too gentle to resist. You could stay here forever, you think drowsily, watching the eternal dance of feathers in the breathless air. But the bird shifts on your shoulder, a reminder as soft as silk, and you understand that this is only the first room of many. With reluctance sweet as honey, you turn toward another archway that is opened while you weren't looking, its threshold glowing with the soft blue-white of winter moonlight. The bird remains on your shoulder as you pass through the gossamer curtains once more, its warmth a companion in the gentle transition between dreams. The second room unfolds around you like a secret being whispered, and you find yourself standing in the heart of a rainstorm that defies every law you thought you knew. Rain falls upward here, rising from an unseen floor in perfect droplets that climb through the air like liquid stars seeking heaven. Each drop catches and holds light from some impossible source, creating a constellation in constant motion around you. The sound is not the harsh patter of storms, but something softer, each drop singing a single pure note as it ascends, creating a symphony of water music that makes your bones hum with recognition. You reach out your hand, and the ascending rain kisses your palm with touches cool and gentle. Where each drop meets your skin, you hear something, fragments of melodies you almost remember, half-formed tunes that might have been lullabies your grandmother sang, or songs you heard in dreams and lost upon waking. The water doesn't make you wet, but seems instead to wash away small tensions you didn't know you carried, leaving you lighter, more translucent. The walls of this room are made of cloud song and silver mist, shifting and reforming like thoughts on the edge of sleep. Sometimes you glimpse shapes in the vapor, faces you might have known, places you might have been, moments of joy so pure they make your chest ache with sweetness. But when you try to focus, they dissolve back into mist and music, leaving only the impression of beauty half remembered. Above you, there is no ceiling, only the endless climb of luminous raindrops towards something that might be sky, or might be the inside of a pearl. The bird on your shoulder spreads one wing, and several ascending drops touch its feathers, creating sounds like tiny bells, like children laughing in a distant garden, like the first word of a story you've always wanted to hear. You close your eyes and let the upward rain wash over you, each drop a small absolution, a gentle erasure of the day's sharp edges. When you open them again, your vision has gone soft around the corners, and the world seems painted in watercolors that bleed gently into one another. The restlessness that brought you to the bookshop has dissolved completely now, replaced by a profound peace that feels like coming home to a place you never knew you'd lost. But even as you sink deeper into this aqueous reverie, you notice another archway opening in the mist wall across from you. This one glows with the warm amber of candlelight, and through its threshold you glimpse moving shadows that dance with the eager energy of children at play. The rain song changes pitch as you move toward the new doorway, becoming softer, more distant, until it's only a whisper of water music, following you like a blessing. The silent bird adjusts its grip on your shoulder, feathers rustling with sounds like pages turning. And together, you step through into the third dream. This room pulses with the warm golden light of theater footlights. But the stage before you is unlike any you've ever seen. Shadows move across backdrops of dreams, puppets without strings, performing plays written in languages of sleep and starlight. The shadows are your size and smaller, some child size, some no bigger than your hand, all of them moving with the fluid grace of thoughts becoming visible. The puppet theater stretches as far as you can see, with countless small stages set at different levels, each one telling a different story. On one, shadow children play games you remember from your own childhood, but with rules that shift like wind through grass. On another, shadow lovers meet and part and meet again in an endless dance of longing that makes your heart flutter with recognition. A third stage shows shadow trees growing backward into seeds, then blooming again into forests of possibility. You realize with a start that these are scenes from dreams you almost had, the dreams that hover just beyond sleep's threshold, the ones that scatter like starlings when the alarm clock sounds. Here they play out in their shadow theater, finally free to complete their strange and beautiful narratives. The bird on your shoulder begins to make the softest sound, barely audible, a humming that might be purring or might be the sound of contentment itself. Its warmth spreads through your body like tea with honey, and you feel your eyelids growing heavy as you watch the shadow play. One performance draws your attention more than the others. On a stage draped in midnight blue, a shadow version of yourself sits by a window that looks out onto a garden of sleeping flowers. The shadow you is younger, or perhaps simply more at peace, and as you watch, it opens a book that glows with soft light. But instead of reading, the shadow begins to sing, a wordless lullaby that rises and falls like breathing, like waves on a distant shore, like the memory of safety. Other shadows gather to listen. Shadow cats that purr in harmonies, shadow birds that add their own gentle melodies, shadow children who curl up like flower buds and begin to drift toward their own shadow dreams. The song weaves around you, and you find yourself swaying slightly, your own breathing synchronizing with its rhythm. The theater begins to dim around the edges, the stages growing soft and blurred, until only the central performance remains clear. The shadow, you looks up from the glowing book and seems to see you watching. With a smile that you feel rather than see, it closes the book and sets it aside, then curls up in the window seat and lets its eyes drift closed. As the shadow you falls asleep, you feel an echo of that same drowsiness wash over you like a tide of warm honey. The bird on your shoulder settles deeper into your warmth, and together you watch as the theater fades to gentle darkness, leaving only the memory of lullabies and the promise of deeper rest ahead. When the theater has dissolved completely into soft gray peace, you notice that a final doorway has appeared, not an archway this time, but a proper door made of wood that gleams like moonlight on water. It stands slightly ajar, and through the gap you see not another room, but the warm golden glow of home itself, whatever home means to your heart's deepest understanding. The door opens at your touch, silent as thought, and you step through into a space that seems to have been waiting for you specifically, forever. The final room is everything you didn't know you needed. The walls curve around you like an embrace, painted in colors that shift between twilight blue and silver gray, between the green of deep forests and the lavender of evening sky. The floor is soft beneath your feet, not carpet or wood, but something that yields gently to each step, like walking on clouds that have learned to be solid. Scattered throughout the room are objects that make your heart recognize home in ways you can't explain. A rocking chair that moves with the rhythm of your breathing, even when you're not in it. Bookshelves lined with volumes whose covers shimmer between languages, their titles changing when you're not looking directly at them. On a low table sit glass jars filled with what can only be captured moonlight, each one glowing with soft silver radiance that casts no shadows. When you approach, you can hear them humming, not with sound exactly, but with the vibration of peaceful nights and gentle dreams. The light makes your skin glow pearled soft and fills your bones with the kind of weightless peace you remember from childhood fevers, when the world went soft around the edges and everything became possible. In one corner stands a music box, but instead of a dancing figurine, it holds a miniature forest where tiny shadow deer step delicately between trees, no taller than your thumb. The melody it plays is almost inaudible, felt more than heard, the song of wind through leaves, of streams over stones, of the earth itself turning slowly through space. But what draws you most powerfully is the bed that sits in the room's center, shaped like a crescent moon and covered in quilts that seem to be made of captured twilight. The pillows are cloud soft and smell of lavender and vanilla, of rain on summer evenings, and the particular peace that comes after long days of gentle labor. As you approach the bed, you notice books scattered across its surface, not closed books waiting to be read, but open books in the middle of their stories. You pick one up and find yourself reading a tale about a garden where flowers bloom only at midnight, but 3 sentences in, the words begin to blur and shift, becoming music, becoming colors, becoming the sensation of floating on warm water under starlight. Another book tells the story of a lighthouse keeper who tends a beacon that guides lost dreams back to their dreamers. But as you read, the words dissolve into images that play behind your eyelids, the lighthouse spinning its beam across waters dark as sleep, calling home all the dreams that scattered like birds at dawn. The silent bird on your shoulder finally speaks, and its voice is the sound of pages turning, of whispered goodnight kisses, of your own breathing slowing toward sleep. Rest now, it says without words, its message arriving directly in your heart. The dreams are waiting. You sink onto the crescent bed, and it receives you like water, like the memory of your mother's arms, like the promise of tomorrow's gentle awakening. The quilts seem to cover you of their own accord, warm and light as captured sighs. The bird settles on the pillow beside your head, folding its midnight wings and beginning the softest purr song you've ever heard. Around you, the room continues its gentle magic. The moonlight jars pulse in rhythm with your slowing heartbeat. The shadow deer in the music box dance their eternal dance. The books murmur their half-finished stories, each one trailing off into comfortable silence, just as your thoughts begin to scatter like dandelion seeds on a summer breeze. Your eyelids grow heavy as autumn honey, and as they drift closed, you hear the sound of rain beginning to fall. Not the upward rain of the second chamber, but gentle rain on the roof of this impossible room. Rain that sounds like applause, like approval, like the universe itself saying yes to your need for rest. The last thing you're aware of is the bird's warmth against your cheek and the sensation of stories settling around you like blankets, each one unfinished and perfect in its incompletion, each one a doorway to dreams that will unfold in their own time, in their own magical way. And as sleep finally, gently, irrevocably takes hold, you understand that you've found what you were looking for in those restless streets. Not just rest, but the place where rest lives. The room at the bottom of the velvet staircase where dreams come to dream themselves, and where weary souls like yours can finally, safely, beautifully fall asleep. May your dreams be gentle. May your sleep be deep. And when you wake, may you carry a little peace with you. If you enjoyed tonight's story, feel free to return any time. Good night and sweet dreams.